The Mafia boss's pregnant wife who destroyed his empire, Vanessa Moretti. DeLuca stood 8 months pregnant in a ballroom full of killers and criminals, watching her husband caress another woman's swollen belly. Roman DeLuca, feared Mafia boss, untouchable king, thought his wife would stay silent like she always did. He was wrong. That night, the woman he underestimated walked out with nothing but the clothes on her back and a plan that would bring down his entire empire. Before sunrise, she'd turn his lies into weapons. By the end, he'd lose everything. If you want to see how a silent wife became the most dangerous woman in the city, stay until the end. Like this video and comment what city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story travels. The first rule Vanessa learned when she married into the DeLuca family was simple: never ask questions you don't want answered. The second rule was even simpler: smile and the world will think you're happy. She'd been following both rules for 3 years. Tonight, standing in the grand ballroom of the Belmont Hotel with her hand resting on her 8-month pregnant belly, Vanessa realized she'd been a fool to follow either one. The annual DeLuca Foundation Charity Gala was the kind of event where politicians rubbed shoulders with criminals and everyone pretended not to notice. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings. White-gloved servers moved through the crowd with trays of champagne and caviar. A string quartet played something classical and forgettable in the corner. The guest list read like a who's who of people who could make you disappear without a trace. Vanessa had attended this gala every year since marrying Roman. She knew the routine: wear the right dress, smile at the right people, stand beside her husband, and look like the perfect wife. This year, she wore emerald green silk that had been custom-tailored to accommodate her pregnancy. Diamonds hung from her ears and throat, gifts from Roman that probably cost more than most people made in a year. Her dark hair was pulled back in an elegant updo that had taken her stylist 2 hours to perfect. She looked the part. She always looked the part. That was the problem. Vanessa stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, holding a glass of sparkling water she hadn't touched, watching Roman work the room. He was good at this, better than good. Roman DeLuca could make a senator feel like his best friend and a rival crime boss feel like a respected colleague, often in the same conversation. He wore a tailored black suit that fit him like armor. His dark hair was swept back, his jaw sharp, his smile easy. Women watched him move through the room. Men stepped aside to let him pass. He commanded attention without demanding it. 3 years ago, Vanessa had fallen for that command. She'd been young, naive, working as an event coordinator for a luxury hotel. Roman had walked into her life like a storm she didn't see coming. And before she knew what was happening, she was married to a man whose business card said real estate developer, but whose real work happened in rooms she was never invited into. She'd been so stupid. Beautiful evening, isn't it? Vanessa turned to find Margaret DeLuca standing beside her. Roman's mother was a woman who wore pearls like armor and perfume like a warning. Her silver hair was styled in perfect waves, her burgundy gown understated but clearly expensive. "It is," Vanessa said, giving her mother-in-law the smile she'd practiced in mirrors. The foundation outdid themselves this year. Margaret's eyes swept over Vanessa's belly with the kind of clinical assessment a jeweler might give a diamond. "You look tired, dear. Perhaps you should sit down. The baby—" "I'm fine," Vanessa said, keeping her voice light. "Really? I feel good." It was a lie. She felt like a whale in heels. Her back ached, her feet were swollen. The baby had been kicking her ribs for the past hour like it was training for a cage match. But Margaret DeLuca didn't ask how Vanessa felt because she cared. She asked because appearances mattered, and a pregnant daughter-in-law who looked exhausted reflected poorly on the family. "Well," Margaret said, her smile sharp as a knife blade, "don't overdo it. We can't have you going into labor in the middle of the gala. That would be terribly inconvenient." She swept away before Vanessa could respond. Vanessa's fingers tightened around her water glass. She forced herself to breathe slowly through her nose, the way her therapist had taught her during the 6 sessions Roman had allowed, before deciding therapy was unnecessary. Across the ballroom, Roman laughed at something a city councilman said. The sound carried over the music and conversation, rich, warm, completely false. Vanessa knew all her husband's laughs. The real one, rare and startling when it appeared. The business one, designed to make people feel clever. The dangerous one that meant someone had crossed a line. This was the business laugh. She watched him shake hands, clap shoulders, work the room like a conductor leading an orchestra. This was Roman in his element, powerful, untouchable, in complete control. She used to find it attractive. Now it just made her tired. Vanessa turned back to the window, looking out at the city lights spreading below them like fallen stars. Somewhere down there, people were living normal lives, going to normal jobs, coming home to normal families. She'd given up normal the day she said, "I do." Mrs. DeLuca? Vanessa turned to find a young server offering her a fresh glass of sparkling water. She accepted it with a smile, trading her full glass for another full glass in a transaction that made no sense but was expected anyway. "Thank you," she said. The server nodded and moved away. Vanessa lifted the glass to her lips, not drinking, just maintaining the illusion of participation. She'd gotten good at that, looking engaged while her mind was somewhere else entirely. A burst of laughter drew her attention back to the crowd. Roman was talking to a woman Vanessa didn't recognize. That wasn't unusual. The gala drew 500 guests every year. Vanessa couldn't possibly know everyone. But something about this woman made Vanessa pause. She was beautiful in an understated way. Honey blonde hair, classic features, a navy dress that probably cost a fortune but didn't scream for attention. Mid-30s, maybe. She held herself with the kind of easy confidence that came from genuinely not caring what anyone thought. And she was pregnant, very pregnant. At least 7 months, Vanessa guessed, maybe 8. The woman laughed at something Roman said, her hand resting naturally on her belly in that universal gesture of expectant mothers. Vanessa watched her husband step closer. Watched him lean in to say something that made the woman smile. Watched him reach out, casual, natural, like it was the most normal thing in the world, and rest his hand on the woman's pregnant stomach. The ballroom didn't stop. The music kept playing. The guests kept talking. The world kept turning. But Vanessa's world lurched to a complete and total halt. Roman DeLuca, her husband, the father of the child currently doing gymnastics in Vanessa's womb, had his hand on another pregnant woman's belly. And it wasn't a polite gesture. It wasn't professional. It was intimate. Vanessa knew intimate. She'd seen Roman touch her own stomach exactly that way 1,000 times. Gentle, possessive, tender. The woman said something and Roman smiled. Not the business smile. Not the dangerous smile. The real one. Vanessa felt the water glass slip from her fingers. It hit the marble floor and shattered. The sound cut through the music and conversation like a gunshot. A dozen heads turned. A server rushed over with a towel. Margaret appeared from nowhere with the kind of forced concern that was really just annoyance. "Vanessa, dear, are you all right?" Across the ballroom, Roman's head snapped up. Their eyes met. For one brief second, Vanessa saw something flicker across her husband's face. Recognition, calculation, perhaps even guilt. Then it was gone, replaced by concern so perfectly manufactured it could have won an Oscar. He crossed the ballroom in long strides, leaving the blonde woman standing alone. "Vanessa." His hands gripped her shoulders. "Are you okay? Is it the baby?" She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Roman's jaw tightened. "Someone get her a chair. Now." A chair appeared. Hands guided her into it. Faces crowded around, concerned, curious, already whispering. "Give her space," Roman commanded, and the crowd obeyed instantly. Margaret knelt beside Vanessa's chair with practiced grace. "Did you feel a contraction? Should we call Dr. Morrison?" "I'm fine," Vanessa managed. Her voice sounded distant, like someone else was speaking through her mouth. The glass slipped." "You're pale," Roman said. His hand found her shoulder again, and Vanessa had to suppress the urge to shove it away. "We should leave." "No." The word came out sharper than she intended. Vanessa softened her voice, resurrected her smile. "No, I'm fine. Really, I just got dizzy for a second. It passed." "Are you certain?" Margaret's eyes were sharp, searching. "Positive." Vanessa stood, ignoring the way her legs shook. "I think I'll just get some air." "I'll come with you," Roman said immediately. "No." Vanessa smoothed her dress, avoiding his eyes. "Stay. I know you have people to talk to. I'll just step out onto the terrace for a minute." She could feel Roman's hesitation, feel him calculating whether pushing the issue would draw more attention or less. 5 minutes, he said finally. Then I'm checking on you. Vanessa nodded and walked toward the terrace doors, feeling the weight of 100 gazes following her. The moment she stepped outside, the cool night air hit her like a slap. She gripped the stone railing, her hands shaking, her breath coming too fast. Roman's hand on that woman's stomach, the tenderness in his eyes, the real smile. Vanessa pressed her palm against her own belly, feeling her baby kick. She'd been married to Roman DeLuca for 3 years. She'd ignored the late nights and the suspicious phone calls. She'd accepted that parts of his life were off limits. She'd played the role of the perfect mafia wife because that was what survival looked like. But this was different. Excuse me? Vanessa spun around. The blonde woman from inside stood in the terrace doorway, backlit by the ballroom's golden glow. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Classic features, clear skin, eyes the color of good whiskey. I'm sorry, the woman said, her voice warm and genuinely apologetic. I didn't mean to startle you. I saw what happened inside. Are you feeling better? Vanessa's throat closed. She managed a nod. The woman stepped onto the terrace, closing the door behind her. I'm Selena Voss. She extended her hand. Vanessa stared at it like it might bite her. Vanessa, she heard herself say. Vanessa DeLuca. Recognition flashed in Selena's eyes. Brief, quickly hidden, but unmistakable. Oh, Selena said softly. You're Roman's wife. The way she said it, not surprised, not shocked, just aware, sent ice down Vanessa's spine. And you are? Vanessa asked, her voice steadier than she felt. A friend of the family. Selena's hand fell back to her side. I'm sorry. I should have introduced myself inside. I didn't realize. How do you know my husband? The question came out hard, direct, nothing like the polite society voice Vanessa had spent 3 years cultivating. Selena's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. We work together. I'm a consultant for the foundation. Fundraising, donor relations, that sort of thing. Lies. They tasted like lies. I see, Vanessa said. An awkward silence stretched between them. The city noise hummed below, traffic, sirens, life happening to other people. Selena's hand moved to her belly in that unconscious pregnant woman gesture. When are you due? Vanessa asked. 6 weeks. Selena's smile was soft, genuine. You? 4. Your first? Yes. Mine too. Selena's expression turned wistful. It's terrifying, isn't it? Everything's about to change. Vanessa's hands tightened on the railing. Everything had already changed. She just hadn't known it until tonight. I should get back inside, Selena said, reading the tension correctly. It was nice meeting you, Mrs. DeLuca. I hope you feel better. She moved toward the door. Selena. The blonde woman paused, looking back. Vanessa met her eyes directly. Does my husband know you're pregnant? The question hung in the air between them like a blade. Selena's face went carefully blank. I'm sorry? It's a simple question, Vanessa said quietly. Does Roman know about your baby? For a long moment, Selena didn't move. Then, very slowly, she said, I think you should ask your husband that question, Mrs. DeLuca. She turned and walked back inside, leaving Vanessa alone on the terrace. Vanessa's legs gave out. She sank onto a stone bench, her whole body shaking, Roman's hand on Selena's stomach. Selena's careful answer. I think you should ask your husband that question. The baby kicked hard, and Vanessa pressed her hand over her belly, feeling her world crack open. How long had it been going on? Months? A year? Longer? Had Roman been sleeping with Selena while Vanessa was trying to get pregnant? While she was going through failed fertility treatments? While she was finally, miraculously carrying his child? The terrace door opened again. Roman stepped out, his expression concerned but controlled. Vanessa, what are you doing out here? It's cold. She looked up at her husband, this man she'd promised her life to, this man whose baby she was carrying, this man she suddenly realized she didn't know at all. Who is she? Vanessa asked. Roman's face went very still. Who? Don't, The word cracked like a whip. Don't lie to me, Roman. Not right now. His jaw tightened. Selena works for the foundation. I told you we were bringing on new consultants. Is it yours? The question stopped him cold. Is the baby yours? Vanessa repeated, her voice shaking. Roman's expression shifted through several emotions too quickly to track: surprise, calculation, something that might have been guilt. Then it settled into cold authority. We're not doing this here, he said quietly. Answer the question. Vanessa, answer the fucking question, Roman. She'd never cursed at him before, never raised her voice, never done anything but smile and nod and play the perfect wife. Roman's eyes went hard. Get up, we're leaving. No, this isn't a discussion. You're right. Vanessa stood, her legs steadier now, her whole body vibrating with something that felt like rage but burned colder. It's not, because I already know the answer. She moved toward the terrace door. Roman's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop her. Don't make a scene, he said, his voice low and dangerous. You don't want to do that. Not here. Not with these people watching. Vanessa looked down at his hand on her wrist, looked back up at his face. Let go of me. We'll talk about this at home. Let go of me. Something in her voice must have warned him. Roman released her wrist. Vanessa pulled the terrace door open and walked back into the ballroom. The gala continued around her, music, laughter, clinking glasses. She moved through the crowd like a ghost, seeing everything and nothing. Selena stood near the bar, talking to an older couple. Her hand rested on her pregnant belly. Margaret held court near the silent auction tables, surrounded by admirers. The string quartet launched into something upbeat and meaningless. Vanessa kept walking. She found her coat check ticket in her clutch, retrieved her wrap, walked out of the Belmont Hotel into the cold November night. A valet rushed forward. Mrs. DeLuca, can I get your car? No, Vanessa said. Thank you. I'll take a cab. She walked to the curb and raised her hand. A yellow taxi pulled up within seconds. She climbed in, her pregnant belly making the movement awkward, and gave the driver an address she hadn't visited in months. You okay, lady? The driver asked, watching her in the rearview mirror. I'm fine, Vanessa said automatically. They pulled away from the curb. Vanessa looked back once. Through the hotel's glass doors, she could see the gala continuing, golden light, beautiful people, elegant lies. She turned forward and didn't look back again. The drive took 40 minutes. The city gave way to suburbs, then to countryside. The taxi finally pulled up to a small farmhouse surrounded by bare trees and November darkness. You sure this is the place? The driver asked. Vanessa paid him in cash, added a generous tip, and climbed out. The taxi's taillights disappeared down the long driveway. Vanessa stood alone in front of her mother's house, 8 months pregnant, wearing a designer gown and diamond earrings, carrying nothing but her clutch. The porch light flickered on. The door opened. Grace Moretti stood backlit in the doorway, wearing an old cardigan and reading glasses, looking exactly the same as she had when Vanessa was a child. Vanessa? Her mother's voice carried across the yard, shocked and worried. Baby, what's wrong? That was all it took. Vanessa's carefully constructed composure shattered. She crossed the yard, climbed the porch steps, and walked into her mother's arms. He's been lying to me, Vanessa whispered against her mother's shoulder. The whole time. He's been lying. Grace held her daughter tighter. Come inside. Tell me everything. They sat at the kitchen table, the same scarred oak table where Vanessa had done homework and eaten Sunday dinners and learned to bake bread. Vanessa told her mother about the gala, about Selena, about Roman's hand on another woman's pregnant belly. Grace listened without interrupting, her face growing harder with every word. When Vanessa finally ran out of words, Grace stood, walked to the kitchen counter and pulled out a bottle of whiskey she kept for emergencies. She poured herself 2 fingers and knocked it back like medicine. How long have you known? Grace asked. Known what? That he was cheating. Vanessa's hands tightened around her cold tea mug. I didn't. Vanessa Marie. Grace's voice was gentle, but firm. I'm your mother. I've watched you shrink yourself down into nothing over the past 3 years. I've watched you smile while dying inside. So I'm asking you again, how long have you known? Vanessa's throat closed. I suspected. maybe 6 months ago. But I didn't have proof. And even if I did, what was I supposed to do? Leave? Roman doesn't let people leave. So you were just going to stay? Raise your child in that house? Watch him parade his mistress around? I didn't know about Selena until tonight. But you knew there was someone. Vanessa nodded miserably. Grace poured herself another drink. You want to know what your father told me before he died? Vanessa looked up, surprised. Her father had passed when she was 16. Grace rarely spoke about him. He said the biggest mistake people make is thinking powerful men see the world the same way normal people do. Grace's eyes were hard. Powerful men like Roman, they don't see people. They see assets and liabilities, useful and not useful. You were useful when you were the beautiful young wife who made him look respectable. But now? Now I'm just the pregnant wife, Vanessa finished quietly. Now you're a liability, Grace corrected, because once that baby's born, he doesn't need you anymore. He's got the air. He's got the image of a family. Man. And if something were to happen to you, postpartum depression maybe, or a tragic accident, well, wouldn't that be convenient? Vanessa's blood ran cold. Mom, I'm not trying to scare you. Grace leaned forward, gripping her daughter's hands. I'm trying to wake you up. Men like Roman don't divorce their wives. They disappear them, and they make it look natural. He wouldn't? Are you sure? The question hung in the air. Vanessa thought about the way Roman had gripped her wrist on the terrace, thought about the coldness in his eyes when she'd challenged him, thought about all the whispered conversations that ended when she entered a room. What do I do? She whispered. Grace squeezed her hands. You fight back, but you do it smart. How? By being what he thinks you're not, dangerous. Vanessa almost laughed. I'm 8 months pregnant, Mom. I can barely tie my own shoes. How am I supposed to be dangerous? Grace stood and walked to a cabinet above the refrigerator, the one she'd always kept locked when Vanessa was growing up. She pulled down a battered shoebox and set it on the table. Inside were papers, old documents, yellowed photographs, and what looked like a USB drive. What is this? Vanessa asked. Insurance, Grace said. When your father worked for the Moretti family, before he got out, before he went straight, he kept records, names, dates, deals, payments, everything. He told me if anything ever happened to him, I was to use these to protect myself. Vanessa's hands hovered over the box. Why are you showing me this? Because Roman DeLuca isn't the only one with secrets. Grace's smile was sharp. And because your father taught me that if you're going to go to war with a powerful man, you better bring ammunition. Vanessa picked up the USB drive, turning it over in her hands. What's on this? Everything you need to burn his world down, Grace said simply, if you're brave enough to use it. Vanessa looked at her mother. This woman who'd raised her alone after her father's death, who'd worked 3 jobs to keep them afloat, who'd warned her not to marry Roman in the first place. I'm scared, Vanessa admitted. Good, Grace said. Scared keeps you smart. Scared keeps you careful. But scared doesn't mean you roll over and let him win. Vanessa's phone buzzed in her clutch, probably Roman calling to demand she come home. She ignored it. Instead, she opened her laptop, an old one she'd brought from her mother's house years ago and never used, and plugged in the USB drive. Files populated the screen, dozens of them, financial records, audio recordings, scanned on documents. Mom, Vanessa breathed, what is all this? The truth, Grace said, about the DeLuca family, about their real business, about how they've stayed in power for 30 years. Vanessa clicked on a folder labeled DeLuca Foundation. More files appeared, tax documents, wire transfers, shell company registrations. She opened a random PDF. It was a bank statement showing a transfer of $2 million from the DeLuca Foundation to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Vanessa opened another file. Another transfer, $3 million, this time to an account in Switzerland. And another. And another. They're laundering money through the charity, Vanessa whispered. They have been for years, Grace confirmed. Your father figured it out when he was doing their books. That's why he left. And that's why he kept the evidence. Vanessa's mind raced. If this got out, Roman would go to prison, Grace finished, along with half his family. The foundation would be shut down, their assets seized, everything they've built would collapse. Vanessa sat back, her heart pounding. She thought about Roman's hand on Selena's belly. Thought about 3 years of lies. Thought about her baby girl, due in 4 weeks, who deserved better than a father who thought love was a transaction and loyalty was for the weak. "Tell me what to do," Vanessa said. Grace pulled out her phone. "First, we call an old friend of mine, Marcus Chen. He's a lawyer who specializes in cases against powerful people. He doesn't scare easy. And then we build a case so airtight that Roman can't make it disappear. We document everything. We create backups. We make sure that if anything happens to you, nothing's going to happen to me," Vanessa said firmly. Grace smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I hope you're right, baby. I really do. But hope isn't a strategy." Vanessa's phone buzzed again. This time, she looked. 15 missed calls from Roman, 6 text messages. "Where are you, Vanessa? Answer me. This is ridiculous. If you don't call me back in 10 minutes, I'm sending security to find you. I'm not playing games. Call me now." Vanessa blocked his number. Then she picked up her mother's phone and dialed the number Grace held out to her. A man answered on the 3rd ring. "Grace Moretti, it's been a long time." "Hello, Marcus," Grace said. "I need a favor. My daughter needs help." "What kind of help?" Grace looked at Vanessa, her expression asking a silent question. Vanessa took a breath. Then she leaned toward the phone and said, "The kind that burns everything down." There was a pause, then Marcus Chen said, "I'll be there in an hour. Don't talk to anyone until I arrive." He hung up. Vanessa and Grace sat in the kitchen, listening to the old house settle around them, waiting. Outside, November wind rattled the windows. Vanessa's baby kicked, strong, insistent, alive. She pressed her hand over her belly and made a silent promise. "I will protect you, no matter what it costs, no matter what I have to become." Her phone buzzed one more time. A text from an unknown number. "Mrs. DeLuca, this is Selena. I think we should talk." Vanessa stared at the message. Then she typed back, "I agree. Tomorrow. Neutral location. Come alone." The response came immediately. "Riverside Cafe, 10 a.m. I'll be there." Vanessa set down the phone. "Who was that?" Grace asked. "The other woman," Vanessa said. "She wants to talk." "Are you going?" "Yes." "Why?" Vanessa looked at her mother. "Because maybe she's not the enemy. Maybe she's just another woman Roman used and threw away. And if that's true, then she might have information you can use," Grace finished. "Exactly." Grace studied her daughter for a long moment. "You've changed." "Have I?" 3 hours ago, you would have stayed at that gala, smiled, kept the peace. Now you're plotting to take down your husband. 3 hours ago, Vanessa said quietly, I still had hope that I was wrong, that there was an explanation, that the man I married was still somewhere inside the monster he became. And now? Now I know the truth. The man I married never existed. He was just a mask Roman wore until he didn't need to anymore. Grace reached across the table and gripped her daughter's hand. Your father would be proud of you, she said softly. Vanessa's eyes burned. I'm terrified, Mom. I know, baby, but you're doing it anyway. That's what brave looks like. Headlights swept across the kitchen window. Marcus Chen had arrived. Marcus Chen looked nothing like what Vanessa expected. She'd imagined someone older, maybe gray-haired and intimidating. Instead, the man who walked through her mother's door was barely 40, wearing jeans and a leather jacket, carrying a battered messenger bag that had seen better days. Grace, he said, embracing her mother like an old friend. Then he turned to Vanessa. You must be the daughter who married into hell. Vanessa blinked. That's one way to put it. Marcus dropped his bag on the kitchen table and pulled out a laptop. I don't believe in sugarcoating. You married Roman DeLuca. That means you either knew what you were getting into and didn't care, or you had no idea and you're an idiot. Which is it? Marcus, Grace warned. It's fine, Mom. Vanessa straightened in her chair despite her exhaustion. I was an idiot. I thought he was just a successful businessman with family money. By the time I figured out the truth, I was already in too deep. And now you're pregnant, Marcus said, his eyes dropping to her belly. That complicates things. I'm aware. Marcus opened his laptop and pulled out a digital recorder. Here's how this works. You tell me everything. I mean everything. When you met, what you know about his business, who you've seen him with, what you've overheard. Nothing is too small or too stupid. You understand? Vanessa nodded. Good. And just so we're clear, everything you tell me tonight stays confidential. Attorney-client privilege. But if you lie to me even once, I walk. We clear? Crystal. Marcus hit record. Start at the beginning. So Vanessa did. She told him about meeting Roman at the hotel where she worked. About the whirlwind courtship that felt romantic at the time, but looking back seemed calculated. About the wedding, small, private, with barely any of her friends invited. About moving into the penthouse and slowly realizing that her new husband's real estate business was a front for something darker. Did he ever tell you explicitly what he did? Marcus asked. No, but I'm not stupid. I heard conversations he thought I couldn't hear. I saw men come to the penthouse at odd hours. I noticed how people acted around him, the fear dressed up as respect. Did you ever see anything illegal happen? Vanessa hesitated. Once, about a year ago, I came home early from a charity meeting. There were 3 men in Roman's office. One of them had blood on his shirt. Roman saw me and told me to go upstairs. I did. Did you ask him about it later? Yes. What did he say? He said it was handled and I should forget I saw anything, so I did. Marcus's expression didn't change, but Vanessa saw something flicker in his eyes. Disappointment, maybe, or pity. What about the foundation? He asked. The charity. What do you know about how it operates? Not much. Roman runs it with his father and a board of trustees. They throw a big gala every year, collect donations, supposedly fund community programs. I helped plan events sometimes, but I was never involved in the actual money side. Did that strike you as odd? At the time? No. Now? Vanessa's laugh was bitter. Everything strikes me as odd now. Grace slid the USB drive across the table. Show him. Marcus plugged it in. His fingers flew across the keyboard, opening files, scanning documents. The only sound was the click of keys and the whistle of wind outside. After what felt like an hour but was probably only 10 minutes, Marcus sat back. Where did you get this? He asked quietly. My father, Grace said. He worked for the Moretti family 20 years ago, before he got out. Antonio Moretti? You know him? I know of him. He testified against the Benedetti organization in 2004, died 6 months later in a car accident. Marcus looked at Grace. That wasn't an accident, was it? Grace's face went hard. No, it wasn't. Marcus turned back to Vanessa. Do you understand what you have here? Evidence of money laundering. It's more than that. This is a complete paper trail linking the DeLuca Foundation to offshore accounts, shell companies, and known criminal enterprises. If this is legitimate, and I'll need to verify it, this is enough to bring down not just Roman, but his entire organization. Vanessa's heart hammered. How long would that take? The verification? A few days, maybe a week. I have contacts at the FBI who owe me favors, but here's the thing. Marcus leaned forward. The moment we start making noise, the moment anyone in the DeLuca organization suspects you have this information, you become a target. You understand that? I understand. I don't think you do. Marcus's voice was flat, serious. These aren't people who make threats. They don't warn you. They act, and they're very good at making problems disappear. He's right, Vanessa, Grace said softly. You need to think about this, really think. Once we start down this road, there's no going back. Vanessa looked at her mother, then at Marcus, then down at her swollen belly where her daughter was sleeping, oblivious to the war being planned around her. I can't go back, she said, even if I wanted to. Roman isn't going to forgive me for leaving the gala, for ignoring his calls. He's probably tearing apart the city looking for me right now. As if summoned by her words, headlights swept across the kitchen window again. Grace stood quickly, moving to peer through the curtain. Black SUV, tinted windows. Marcus was already closing his laptop, unplugging the drive. You expecting anyone? No. The vehicle stopped at the end of the driveway. The engine cut off. 2 men climbed out, both large, both wearing dark suits that didn't quite hide the bulk of shoulder holsters. Vanessa's blood turned to ice. That's Marco and Sal, Roman security. Back door, Grace said immediately. Marcus, take her. No. Vanessa stayed seated. Running makes me look guilty. I'm his wife. I have every right to visit my mother. Vanessa. She's right, Marcus said. He handed the USB drive to Grace. Hide this. Somewhere they won't think to look. Grace disappeared into the hallway. Heavy footsteps climbed the porch stairs. A knock rattled the door. Not aggressive, but not polite either. Marcus and Vanessa exchanged a look. Your play, he said quietly. Vanessa took a breath, stood, and walked to the door. Marco stood on the porch, his bulk filling the frame. He was 40-something, with a boxer's flattened nose and eyes that had seen too much. Sal hung back, hand resting casually near his jacket. Mrs. DeLuca, Marco said. Mr. DeLuca is concerned. You left the gala without your security detail. I'm visiting my mother, Vanessa said calmly. I didn't realize I needed permission for that. You don't. But when you disappear after a public incident and stop answering your phone, people worry. I dropped my phone in the taxi. It's broken. The lie came easily, too easily. Marco's expression didn't change. Mr. DeLuca would like you to come home. It's late. I'm tired. I'll come home tomorrow. It wasn't a request, Mrs. DeLuca. Vanessa felt her temper flare. And I'm not a child. I'm an adult woman visiting her mother. If Roman has a problem with that, he can call me. Oh, wait, he can't, because my phone is broken. Who's your friend? Marco's eyes shifted past her to where Marcus stood in the kitchen doorway. Marcus Chen, Marcus said, stepping forward. I'm Mrs. Moretti's attorney. And unless you have a warrant, you're trespassing on private property. Marco's jaw tightened. This is family business, counselor. Doesn't concern you. I'm making it my concern. Mrs. DeLuca has made it clear she's staying here tonight. If Mr. DeLuca has an issue with that, he can take it up through proper legal channels. The two men stared at each other. Sal shifted his weight, hand moving closer to his jacket. Stand down, Grace said from behind Vanessa. She held a shotgun across her chest, old, well-maintained, clearly functional. I don't care who sent you. This is my property, and my daughter is staying here tonight. You can either accept that and leave, or we can have a problem. Marco looked at the shotgun, then at Grace, then back at Vanessa. Mr. DeLuca won't like this, he said. I imagine he won't, Vanessa replied. But I stopped worrying about what Roman likes about 2 hours ago. Something flickered across Marco's face. Surprise. Maybe respect. Your choice, he said finally. But when this goes sideways, don't say we didn't warn you. He turned and walked back to the SUV. Sal followed. They watched the taillights disappear down the driveway. Grace lowered the shotgun. That was stupid. That was necessary, Vanessa corrected. If I'd gone with them, I might not have come back. You really think Roman would hurt you? Marcus asked. I think Roman would do whatever keeps him in power. And right now, I'm a liability. Grace locked the door and drew the curtains. They'll be watching the house. Let them, Vanessa said. I'm not hiding. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. Okay, new plan. Tomorrow morning, before you meet with Selena, we're getting you a new phone. Burner, untraceable. You use it only for communicating with me and your mother. Your old number, keep it off. Let Roman think it's broken. And after I meet with Selena? After that, we see what she knows. If she's willing to talk, we might have a witness. If not, he shrugged. We move forward with what we have. Vanessa's exhaustion finally caught up with her. The baby pressed against her ribs, her back ached, and her feet felt like they belonged to someone else. I need to sleep, she said. Take my room, Grace offered. I'll stay up with Marcus. We have planning to do. Vanessa didn't argue. She climbed the stairs to her childhood bedroom, unchanged since she'd left for college, still painted the same soft blue, still smelling faintly of the lavender sachets her mother kept in the closet. She collapsed onto the bed, fully dressed, and was asleep before her head hit the pillow. She dreamed of Roman's hands on Selena's belly, over and over, an endless loop she couldn't escape. Vanessa woke to sunlight streaming through the thin curtains and the smell of coffee drifting up from downstairs. For one blissful second, she forgot where she was and why. Then memory crashed back. She sat up slowly, her body protesting every movement. The baby kicked, active and restless. Morning to you too, Vanessa muttered, rubbing her belly. Her phone, the broken one, sat on the nightstand. She turned it on, curious. 43 missed calls, 27 text messages. Most from Roman, some from Margaret, a few from numbers she didn't recognize. The text from Roman progressed from angry to furious to coldly calm. You're making a mistake. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. Come home and we'll talk like adults. I'm trying to be patient, but you're testing me. This is your last chance. Fine, have it your way. That last message had come in at 4 in the morning. Vanessa deleted everything and turned the phone back off. Downstairs, Grace and Marcus sat at the kitchen table surrounded by papers and empty coffee cups. They looked like they'd been up all night. Morning, Vanessa said. Grace looked up. There's breakfast in the oven. Toast and eggs. I know it's not much. It's perfect, Mom. Vanessa pulled out a plate and sat down. The eggs were cold, but she didn't care. She was starving. Marcus slid a new phone across the table. Burner. Already programmed with my number and your mom's. Don't use it for anything else. Vanessa pocketed it. What time is it? 8:30. You're meeting Selena at 10, right? Right. I'm coming with you. No. Vanessa shook her head. She said to come alone. If I show up with a lawyer, she'll bolt. Then I'll sit at another table, close enough to intervene if needed. Marcus, non-negotiable, he said firmly. You're 8 months pregnant and meeting the woman who's carrying your husband's child. I'm not letting you go alone. Vanessa wanted to argue, but honestly she was relieved. Fine, but keep your distance. I need her to trust me. What makes you think she will? I don't know if she will, but I think she's scared. I heard it in her voice last night at the gala, and if she's scared of Roman too, then we're on the same side. Grace poured Vanessa more orange juice. What if it's a trap? What if Roman sent her to lure you out? Then I'll deal with it. Vanessa? Mom, I can't spend the rest of my life being afraid of what Roman might do. If I'm going to fight him, I need to stop hiding. Marcus checked his watch. We should leave in 30 minutes. That gives us time to scope out the location, make sure it's clean. Vanessa finished her eggs and went upstairs to change. Her options were limited. She'd left the penthouse with nothing but the clothes on her back. She settled for a pair of her mother's old maternity jeans that barely fit and a loose sweater. In the bathroom mirror, she looked like hell. Dark circles under her eyes, hair falling out of last night's updo, skin pale and drawn. She splashed water on her face, did what she could with the makeup in her purse, and pulled her hair into a simple ponytail. Good enough. The Riverside Cafe was exactly what it sounded like. A small coffee shop overlooking the river, populated mostly by students from the nearby college and young professionals working on laptops. Marcus went in first, secured a corner table with a clear view of the entrance, and settled in with a newspaper like he had nothing better to do. Vanessa arrived at 9:55. Selena was already there. She sat at a table by the window, hands wrapped around a mug of tea, staring out at the gray water. She'd dressed down from the gala, jeans, a simple blouse, her blonde hair pulled back. She looked tired, scared, human. Vanessa walked over and sat down across from her. Selena's eyes widened slightly. You came. I said I would. A waitress appeared. Vanessa ordered herbal tea and a blueberry muffin. For a long moment, neither woman spoke. Finally, Selena said, I'm sorry about last night, about all of it. Are you? Vanessa kept her voice neutral. Sorry enough to tell me the truth? Selena's hands tightened around her mug. What do you want to know? Start with the baby. Is it Roman's? The directness made Selena flinch, but she nodded. Yes. Vanessa's chest tightened, but she kept her face calm. How long have you been sleeping with my husband? 18 months. 18 months. Vanessa had been pregnant for 7 of them. Did he tell you about me? She asked. Yes, he said. Selena stopped, looking down. He said your marriage was complicated, that you had an arrangement. An arrangement? He said you knew he had other relationships, that you were okay with it as long as he was discreet. Vanessa laughed, sharp and bitter. And you believed him? At first. Selena's voice was barely audible. But then you got pregnant, and he got weird, possessive. He wanted me to disappear for a while until after your baby was born. I told him no. That's when I found out he'd been lying about a lot of things. Like what? Selena reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. She slid it across the table. Vanessa opened it. Inside were bank statements, emails, legal documents. What is this? Vanessa asked. Proof, Selena said quietly, that Roman has been planning to get rid of you. Vanessa's blood went cold. Explain. 2 months ago, I overheard him talking to his lawyer. They were discussing a post-nuptial agreement, something about incapacity clauses and medical power of attorney. I didn't think much of it until I started digging. She pointed to one of the documents, a draft agreement that would give Roman complete control over Vanessa's medical decisions if she was deemed mentally incapacitated. After the baby's born, Selena continued, he's planning to have you committed. Postpartum psychosis, he'll claim. He's already got a doctor lined up who'll sign the papers. Once you're institutionalized, he gets custody of the baby and full access to your assets. Vanessa stared at the paper, her vision blurring. Roman had been planning to erase her, not divorce her, not leave her, lock her away and take everything. Why are you telling me this? Vanessa's voice shook. Why help me? Selena's eyes filled with tears. Because I'm an idiot who fell for his lies, but I'm not a monster. And because, she pressed a hand to her belly. He told me yesterday that he wants me to give up the baby, have it adopted out quietly, said it would be better for everyone if this child didn't exist. And you said? I said no. I said if he tried to take my baby, I'd go to the police, to the media, to anyone who would listen. That's when he showed me who he really is. Selena pulled down the collar of her blouse, revealing dark bruises around her throat. Vanessa's stomach turned. He did that to you? Last night, after the gala. He came to my apartment, told me I was making a mistake, that I didn't understand how things worked. When I tried to leave, She stopped, swallowing hard. He choked me until I blacked out. When I woke up, he was gone. And there was an envelope on my kitchen table with $50,000 in cash and a plane ticket to London. One way. He wants you to disappear. He wants both of us to disappear, Selena corrected. You and me. We're problems he doesn't know how to solve without destroying his perfect image. So he's found ways to make us go away quietly. Vanessa sat back, her mind racing. Roman had planned all of it. The affair, the second child, the disposal of 2 inconvenient women, and he'd almost gotten away with it. What do you want from me? Vanessa asked. Help! Selena's voice cracked. I have nowhere to go, no one to turn to. Roman controls everything in my life, my job, my apartment, my bank account. If I run, he'll find me. If I stay, he'll... She couldn't finish. Vanessa looked across the table at this woman, her husband's mistress, carrying his child, just as trapped as Vanessa had been. Grace was right. Roman didn't see people. He saw assets. And when assets became liabilities, he discarded them. I know someone who can help, Vanessa said. A lawyer. He's good. He doesn't scare easy. Can I trust him? Can you trust me? Selena met her eyes. I don't know. Can I? Vanessa thought about all the reasons she should hate this woman, but sitting here, looking at the bruises on Selena's neck and the fear in her eyes, she couldn't manage it. I'm not your enemy, Vanessa said. Roman is. And if we're going to survive him, we need to work together. Selena nodded slowly. Okay. Vanessa pulled out the burner phone and texted Marcus. Within seconds, he was at their table. Selena Voss, Vanessa said, meet Marcus Chen. He's going to help us bury Roman DeLuca. Marcus pulled out a chair and sat down, his expression all business. Tell me everything. So they did. For the next 2 hours, Selena laid out the whole sordid story. How she'd met Roman at a fundraiser. How he'd pursued her, charmed her, convinced her that his marriage was over in everything but name. How she'd stupidly believed him. She showed Marcus the documents she'd collected. Emails, text messages, bank transfers. Evidence of the affair, yes, but also evidence of Roman's plans to institutionalize Vanessa. This is good, Marcus said, photographing each document with his phone. This is very good. Good? Selena looked incredulous. He tried to kill me, which makes you a witness and a victim, which means you can testify against him without looking like a scorned mistress. Marcus's smile was sharp. Trust me, a jury will eat this up. Vanessa's phone buzzed. The burner, not her old one. A text from Grace. 2 men watching the house, same ones from last night. Be careful. She showed it to Marcus. His expression darkened. He's escalating. What do we do? Selena asked. We move fast, Marcus said. Before he realizes what we're planning, Vanessa, I need you to file for divorce today, right now. We use the infidelity clause in your prenup. There is no prenup, Vanessa interrupted. Marcus stopped. What? Roman refused to sign one, said prenups were for people who didn't trust each other. A slow smile spread across Marcus's face. Even better. That means in a divorce, you're entitled to half of everything. And if we can prove the marriage was built on fraud, the affair, the deception, we can make a case for the entire estate. Won't he fight it? Selena asked. Of course he will, but fighting means discovery, which means we get to subpoena records, depose witnesses, dig through every financial transaction, and the longer it drags out, the more dirt we find. Vanessa's heart was pounding. How long will this take? Months, probably, maybe longer. These things don't move fast. I don't have months. I'm due in 4 weeks. Then we make noise, Marcus said. We file the divorce papers, leak the affair to the press, and force Roman to respond publicly. The more attention on this, the safer you are. He can't make you disappear if everyone's watching. He'll retaliate, Vanessa said. Probably, but we'll be ready. Selena touched Vanessa's hand. Are you sure about this? Once you start, there's no going back. Vanessa thought about the bruises on Selena's neck, thought about Roman's hand on another woman's belly, thought about the document planning to have her declared insane. I'm sure, she said. Marcus stood. Then let's go to war. The courthouse was a gray stone building that looked like it had been designed to intimidate. Vanessa climbed the steps slowly, one hand on the railing, the other pressed against her belly. Every step sent a jolt of pain through her lower back, but she kept moving. Marcus walked beside her, carrying a briefcase full of documents. Selena had stayed behind at Grace's farmhouse, hidden and safe for now. You ready for this? Marcus asked as they reached the heavy wooden doors. Vanessa thought about the question. Was she ready to publicly declare war on her husband? Ready to face whatever Roman would throw at her? Ready to burn down the life she'd spent 3 years building? No, she said honestly, but I'm doing it anyway. Inside, the courthouse smelled like old paper and floor polish. Their footsteps echoed on marble floors as Marcus led her through a maze of corridors to the family court clerk's office. A tired-looking woman in her 50s sat behind a desk buried in files. Her nameplate read Dorothy Martinez. Help you? She asked without looking up. We're here to file for divorce, Marcus said, placing the folder on her desk. Dorothy glanced up, her eyes moving from Marcus to Vanessa's pregnant belly. Something in her expression shifted, not pity exactly, but understanding. Name? She asked, pulling out a form. Vanessa Moretti DeLuca. Dorothy's pen stopped moving. She looked up sharply. DeLuca? As in Roman DeLuca? Yes. A long pause. Dorothy set down her pen. Honey, do you know what you're doing? Filing for divorce, Vanessa said steadily. The DeLuca family doesn't do divorce. They do. She stopped, choosing her words carefully. They do things differently. I know exactly who they are, Vanessa said, and I'm filing anyway. Dorothy studied her for a long moment, then picked up her pen again. Okay then, let's make it official. The paperwork took an hour. Forms in triplicate, notarized signatures, filing fees paid in cash because Marcus insisted on leaving no electronic trail. Dorothy walked them through every line, every checkbox, her voice professionally neutral, but her eyes knowing. When it was done, she stamped the final page with more force than necessary. You're officially separated as of... She checked the clock. 11:43 a.m. Petition for dissolution of marriage has been filed and will be served to Mr. DeLuca within 72 hours. Can we expedite that? Marcus asked. Dorothy raised an eyebrow. You want him to get these papers faster? We want him to get them today. That'll cost extra. Marcus pulled out more cash. Make it happen. Dorothy counted the bills, made them disappear into a drawer, and picked up her phone. Jimmy, I need a priority service. Today. Yeah, I know it's lunch. I'll buy you dinner. DeLuca. Roman DeLuca. A pause. Yeah, that DeLuca. You got a problem with it? Another pause, longer this time. Good. Address is in the file. She hung up. Jimmy will serve him by 5 p.m. today. Now get out of here before I change my mind about helping you." Outside, Vanessa leaned against the courthouse steps, breathing hard. The baby was kicking up a storm, probably picking up on her stress. "Step 1 complete," Marcus said. "How you feeling?" "Terrified." "Good. Terrified means you're taking this seriously." He pulled out his phone. "Now for step 2. We need to get ahead of the narrative." "What does that mean?" "It means we leak this to the press before Roman can spin it his way." Marcus scrolled through his contacts. "I know a reporter at the Tribune, investigative journalist. She's been trying to dig up dirt on the DeLuca family for years. This is exactly what she needs." Vanessa's stomach churned. "You want to make this public? Already?" "The moment those divorce papers hit Roman's desk, he's going to retaliate. We need the public watching before that happens. It's your best protection, or it puts a bigger target on my back." "It's already there, Vanessa. We're just making sure everyone can see it." Her phone buzzed. The burner. A text from Selena. "Are you okay?" Vanessa typed back. "Papers are filed. No going back now." The response came immediately. "I'm scared." "Me too." Marcus was already making the call. "Laura, it's Marcus Chen. Yeah, it's been a while. Listen, I've got a story for you. Big one. How fast can you meet?" A pause. "Roosevelt Diner. 20 minutes. And Laura, come alone." He hung up and looked at Vanessa. "You sure you want to do this? Once we talk to the press, there's no undoing it." Vanessa thought about the bruises on Selena's neck, about the documents planning her institutionalization, about Roman's hand on another woman's belly while his wife stood 8 months pregnant across the room. "Let's burn it all down," she said. The Roosevelt Diner was the kind of place where cops ate breakfast and truckers drank coffee at 3 a.m. Red vinyl booths, checkered floors, a jukebox in the corner that probably hadn't worked since 1985. Laura Fitzgerald was already there when they arrived, sitting in a back booth with a cup of black coffee and a recorder on the table. She was younger than Vanessa expected, mid-30s, with dark curly hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Marcus Chen," she said as they approached. "Last time I saw you, you were defending that councilman who got caught taking bribes." "And I got him acquitted," Marcus replied, sliding into the booth. "You wrote a very unflattering article about it. You earned it." Laura's eyes shifted to Vanessa. "And you must be the story." Vanessa sat down carefully, her belly making the tight booth even tighter. Laura pushed the recorder forward. "Mind if I record this?" "That's why we're here," Marcus said. "Okay then." Laura hit record. "Start at the beginning." So Vanessa did. She told Laura about the gala, about seeing Roman with Selena, about the discovery of the affair and the second pregnancy. She told her about finding the documents detailing Roman's plan to have her committed. She told her about the money laundering through the foundation, though she was careful not to mention the USB drive yet. Laura's pen flew across her notebook, even though the recorder was running. "This is..." Laura stopped, searching for words. "This is explosive. If even half of this checks out, Roman DeLuca is finished." "It all checks out," Marcus said, "and we've got documentation to prove it." "Can I see it?" "Not yet, but when the time comes, you'll be the first call." Laura sat back, studying them. "What do you want from me?" "We want you to write the story," Vanessa said, "before Roman can control the narrative, before he can make this about a hysterical pregnant wife having a breakdown." "He's going to say exactly that," Laura warned. "The moment this goes public, his lawyers will paint you as unstable, vindictive. They'll drag your name through the mud." "Let them try," Vanessa said. "I've got nothing to hide." "Everyone's got something to hide." "Then they'll have to dig for it, because I'm not backing down." Laura studied Vanessa for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, I'm in, but I need more than your word. I need proof. Documents, witnesses, something concrete." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. One of the documents from Selena's folder, the draft agreement giving Roman medical power of attorney over Vanessa. Laura's eyes widened. "Where did you get this?" "A source. That's all you need to know for now." "Is the source willing to go on record?" "Eventually, when it's safe." Laura zoomed in on the document, taking photos with her own phone. "This is good. This is really good. But I need more. The affair alone isn't enough. Half of wealthy men cheat on their wives. I need the criminal angle, the foundation, the money laundering, That's the real story. And you'll get it, Marcus promised. But we need to time this carefully. If we dump everything at once, Roman's lawyers will bury it in motions and delays. We need to release it in pieces. Keep the pressure building. Laura grinned. I like the way you think. Okay, here's what I'm proposing. I run a story tomorrow about the divorce filing. Keep it simple. Powerful mafia boss served papers by pregnant wife. Rumors of infidelity. That gets people's attention. Then, over the next few weeks, we drop bombs. The affair. The second pregnancy. The institutionalization plan. By the time we get to the financial crimes, Roman's credibility will be shot. How long will this take? Vanessa asked. If we do it right? A month? Maybe 6 weeks? Vanessa pressed her hand to her belly. I don't have 6 weeks. I'm due in less than 4. Then we move faster. Laura closed her notebook. I'll have the first story ready by tomorrow morning. Front page. By noon, every media outlet in the city will be calling Roman's office for comment. And when they do, Vanessa asked, he'll deny everything. Call it a private matter. Maybe claim you're having mental health issues related to the pregnancy. Laura's expression was sympathetic but blunt. It's going to get ugly, Vanessa. Are you ready for that? Vanessa thought about the last 3 years, about smiling through dinner parties with criminals, about pretending not to hear the threats and violence that financed her comfortable life, about becoming invisible in her own marriage. I've been living ugly for a long time, she said quietly. At least now I'm fighting back. Laura's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and frowned. Excuse me a second. I need to take this. She slid out of the booth and walked toward the door, phone pressed to her ear. Marcus leaned closer to Vanessa. You okay? You look pale. I'm fine. Just tired. We can stop. Go back to your mother's. You need rest. No, I need to finish this. Laura returned, her expression troubled. That was my editor. Someone just called the Tribune asking questions about me, specifically about whether I'm working on any stories related to the DeLuca family. Marcus's jaw tightened. When? 10 minutes ago. They know, Vanessa said, her stomach dropping. Roman knows we're talking to the press. Not necessarily. Could be a coincidence. You believe in coincidences? Laura shook her head. Not when it comes to families like the DeLucas. She looked at Vanessa. Which means we need to move now, today. I'll have the story written and fact-checked by tonight. It runs tomorrow morning, whether Roman likes it or not. And if he tries to stop it? Vanessa asked. Laura's smile was sharp. He can try, but the Tribune doesn't bow to threats. We've weathered worse than the DeLuca family. Vanessa's burner phone buzzed. A text from Grace. The men are gone, but a different car just pulled up. Black sedan. One person inside, just sitting there watching. Vanessa showed the message to Marcus. We need to move Selena, he said immediately. And your mother. Roman's covering all the bases. Where can they go? I've got a safe house, studio apartment in a building I own under a shell company. It's clean, off the grid. They'll be safe there. For how long? As long as they need to be. Vanessa texted her mother back. Pack a bag. You and Selena are leaving in 1 hour. Marcus will send someone to get you. The response came quickly. What about you? I'll be fine. Just go. Marcus was already making calls, arranging transportation, setting up the safe house. Laura gathered her things, promised to send Vanessa a copy of the article before it ran, and left. Vanessa sat alone in the booth for a moment, her hands pressed against her belly, feeling her daughter move. I'm doing this for you, she whispered. So you never have to be afraid of your own father. So you grow up knowing your mother was strong enough to fight. The baby kicked hard, like she understood. Vanessa's old phone, the one she'd kept turned off, buzzed in her purse. Against her better judgment, she turned it on. One new voicemail from Roman, left 15 minutes ago. She played it. Roman's voice came through calm and controlled, which somehow made it more terrifying than if he'd been yelling. Vanessa, I know you've been busy this morning, filing papers, talking to reporters, very productive, but you're making mistakes. Big ones. You don't understand the situation you're in. You don't understand what you're risking. A pause. I'm going to give you one chance to fix this. Come home. Tonight. We'll sit down like adults and work this out. But if you insist on continuing down this path, if that story runs tomorrow, there will be consequences. Not threats, Vanessa. Promises. You have until midnight to decide. The voicemail ended. Vanessa's hands shook as she deleted it. Marcus returned to the booth. Transportation's arranged. Grace and Selena will be at the safe house by 6 p.m. He noticed her expression. What happened? She told him about the voicemail. Marcus's face hardened. He's trying to scare you. Don't let him. He's succeeding. Good. Fear will keep you sharp, but don't let it paralyze you. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. This is Detective Sarah Chen. She's my cousin, works in the organized crime unit. If anything happens, anything at all, you call her immediately. Vanessa pocketed the card. Will she help? Against the DeLuca family? She's been waiting years for someone to build a case against them. You give her that chance. She'll protect you with everything she's got. They left the diner and drove back to Grace's farmhouse. The black sedan was gone, but Vanessa couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Inside, Grace and Selena had already packed. 2 small suitcases sat by the door. Is this really necessary? Grace asked, running and hiding. It's temporary, Marcus assured her. Just until we know how Roman's going to respond to the divorce filing. He's going to respond by coming after us, Selena said quietly. She'd changed clothes, but the bruises on her neck were still visible, dark purple against pale skin. That's why you're going somewhere he can't find you. Marcus checked his watch. Car will be here in 20 minutes. Vanessa hugged her mother. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Grace pulled back, gripping Vanessa's shoulders. You didn't drag me anywhere. I chose this, and I'd choose it again. She pressed a hand to Vanessa's belly. Protect my granddaughter. That's all that matters. I will. Selena approached hesitantly. Thank you for not hating me. Vanessa looked at this woman, young, scared, carrying a child she'd been ordered to give up. Roman's the one who did this, Vanessa said. Not you. He played us both. I still should have known better. So should I. Vanessa managed a weak smile. Guess we were both idiots. Former idiots, Selena corrected. We're getting smarter. A car pulled into the driveway, a nondescript gray sedan with a driver Vanessa didn't recognize. Marcus walked Grace and Selena out, giving them final instructions, phone numbers, emergency protocols. Vanessa watched from the window as the car pulled away, carrying the 2 women to safety. Then it was just her and Marcus in the empty farmhouse. What now? She asked. Now you decide where you're sleeping tonight. You can stay here, but it's exposed, or you can come to my office. I've got a couch. It's not comfortable, but it's secure. I'm not hiding. I'm not asking you to hide. I'm asking you to be smart. Vanessa's phone buzzed again. Her old phone, not the burner. A text from an unknown number. I know what you're planning. It won't work. Come home. Then another. Last chance. And another. Midnight. Vanessa showed them to Marcus. He swore under his breath. He's escalating. We need to move you somewhere safe. No. I'm staying here. Vanessa. This is my mother's house. My childhood home. I'm not letting Roman drive me out of it. She met Marcus's eyes. You said fear keeps me sharp. Well, I'm scared as hell right now, but I'm also done running. Marcus studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, then I'm staying too. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You're my client, and you're about to have a very powerful man very angry at you. So I'm staying, and we're going to make sure you survive the night. They spent the evening preparing. Marcus made calls to his contacts, Detective Sarah Chen, a private security firm, a journalist friend who owed him favors. Vanessa went through the house, locking windows, checking doors, making sure every exit was secure. At 8 p.m., Laura Fitzgerald sent a PDF of the article. The headline read, DeLuca Empire Shaken as Pregnant Wife Files for Divorce Amid Infidelity Scandal. Vanessa read it twice. Laura had been thorough but careful. She'd reported the facts without sensationalizing them, let Vanessa's actions speak for themselves. She did good work, Marcus said, reading over Vanessa's shoulder. This is going to explode tomorrow. Roman will fight back. Of course he will. But every minute he spends denying this is a minute he's not controlling the narrative. We're winning. Vanessa wasn't sure it felt like winning. It felt like standing on a cliff edge, waiting for the ground to give way. At 9 p.m., her old phone rang. Roman. She let it go to voicemail. He called again and again and again. On the fifth call, Vanessa answered. Hello, Roman. Silence. Then, you filed for divorce. Yes. You're talking to reporters. Yes. Another long silence. When Roman spoke again, his voice was ice. Do you have any idea what you've done? I know exactly what I've done. No, you don't. You think you're being brave. You think you're standing up for yourself. But you're just being stupid, reckless, dangerous. To who? You? To yourself. The control cracked, just for a second. Vanessa, you're 8 months pregnant. You should be home, safe, preparing for our child. Instead, you're, what? Playing detective? Trying to destroy me? Do you think that ends well for you? Better than staying married to you. Roman laughed, bitter and harsh. You're right, you have changed. The woman I married would never have had the spine to do this. The woman you married never existed, Vanessa said. You wanted someone quiet and obedient, someone who'd smile and look pretty and never ask questions. Well, I'm done being that person. Fine. Then live with the consequences. I plan to. Do you? Roman's voice dropped, dangerous and soft. Because I don't think you understand what's coming. The article, the scandal, the investigation. All of it will blow back on you. People will call you a gold digger, a liar. They'll say you married me for money and now you're trying to cash out. Let them say it. I know the truth. Truth doesn't matter. Perception does. And by the time my lawyers are done, you'll be lucky if anyone believes a word you say. Your lawyers can't bury evidence. Roman went very quiet. What evidence? Vanessa realized her mistake too late. She'd said too much. Vanessa, what evidence do you have? That's for the courts to discover. Tell me what you have. Goodbye, Roman. Wait. She hung up. Her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped the phone. Marcus looked grim. He knows you have something, which means he's going to try to find it. He won't. The USB drive is hidden. Where? Safe deposit box. Bank vault. I moved it this afternoon. Smart. But he'll still try, which means we need to be ready. At 11 p.m., headlights swept across the front windows. Marcus was on his feet immediately, moving to look outside. Black SUV, he said. Same one from last night. Vanessa's pulse hammered. How many? 2. Marco and Sal. They're just sitting there. What are they doing? Sending a message. They want you to know they're watching. Vanessa stood, moved to the window. Across the dark yard, she could see the SUV, engine running, headlights cutting through the November night. Marco sat in the driver's seat, phone to his ear. Sal stared at the house, his expression unreadable. They're not going to do anything, Marcus said. Not tonight. Too many witnesses. I've got security watching the perimeter. If they try to approach, we'll know. But Vanessa wasn't convinced. She knew Marco and Sal. They were Roman's most loyal men. If he ordered them to do something, they'd do it without question. Her phone buzzed. A text from Roman. Last chance, midnight. Choose wisely. Vanessa looked at the clock. 11:43 p.m., 17 minutes until Roman's deadline. What do you think he'll do? She asked Marcus. I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll handle it. The minutes crawled by. 11:47, 11:52, 11:58. At 11:59, Vanessa's phone rang. Roman. She answered. Time's up, he said. I know. You made your choice. I did. Then you should know. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. I gave you everything, Vanessa. A home, a name, a future. And you threw it away for what? Pride? Revenge? For freedom, Vanessa said quietly. I threw it away for freedom. Roman was silent for a long moment. Then, freedom has a price. I hope you're ready to pay it. The call ended. Midnight struck. Outside, the SUV's engine revved. Marco put it in gear, but instead of approaching the house, the vehicle turned around and drove away, taillights disappearing into the darkness. Marcus exhaled slowly. He's pulling back. For now. Vanessa sank into a chair, her whole body trembling. The baby kicked, hard and insistent. I know, Vanessa whispered, rubbing her belly. I know you're scared, but we're going to be okay. I promise. Her phone buzzed one last time. A text from Laura Fitzgerald. Stories live, front page, brace yourself. Vanessa opened her browser and navigated to the Tribune's website. There it was. Top story. Her name. Roman's name. The word divorce in bold letters. Comments were already pouring in. Hundreds of them. Some supportive, some vicious, most just curious. But the story was out there now. No taking it back. No going back. Marcus squeezed her shoulder. You did it. Step 1 complete. How many steps are there? Vanessa asked. I don't know, but we'll take them one at a time. Vanessa closed her eyes, exhaustion crashing over her. She'd started a war. And somewhere in the city, Roman DeLuca was planning his next move. But tonight, for the first time in 3 years, Vanessa Moretti DeLuca had fought back, and she was still standing. The story broke at 6 a.m., and by 7, Vanessa's phone was ringing off the hook. Not the burner, her old phone, the one every reporter in the city apparently had the number to. She ignored them all, sitting at her mother's kitchen table with a cup of tea she couldn't drink and a piece of toast she couldn't eat. Her stomach was in knots. The baby hadn't stopped moving since she woke up, like even the kid knew today was going to be bad. Marcus emerged from the guest room looking like he'd slept in his clothes, which he had. It's everywhere. Television, radio, social media. You're trending on Twitter. Is that good? It means people are paying attention, which is exactly what we want. He poured himself coffee and sat across from her. Roman's lawyers released a statement an hour ago. What does it say? Marcus pulled it up on his phone and read aloud. Mr. DeLuca is deeply saddened by his wife's recent actions and concerned for her well-being during this difficult time. He believes Mrs. DeLuca is under significant emotional strain related to her pregnancy and hopes she will seek the help she needs. He looks forward to resolving this matter privately and amicably. Vanessa's laugh was sharp and humorless. Emotional strain. He's already setting up the narrative that I'm crazy, which is why we need to get ahead of it. Laura wants to do a follow-up piece, an interview with you, your side of the story, in your own words. When? Today, if you're up for it. Vanessa looked down at her belly, at her swollen ankles, at her hands that wouldn't stop shaking. I look like hell, Marcus. You look like a woman who's been through hell. That's what people need to see. He leaned forward. Right now, Roman's playing the concerned husband worried about his unstable wife. We need to show them who you really are. Strong, clear-headed, fighting back. Can you do that? Could she? Vanessa thought about the woman she'd been a week ago. Quiet, obedient, scared. That woman was gone. Yes, she said, I can do that. The interview was scheduled for 2 p.m. at a neutral location, a conference room at Marcus's law office. Laura arrived early with a photographer and a recording setup that looked more professional than Vanessa expected. How are you holding up? Laura asked, arranging her notes. I've been better. I'm going to ask you some hard questions, not because I don't believe you, but because Roman's lawyers will pick apart anything that sounds rehearsed or emotional. I need you to be honest. Can you do that? Vanessa nodded. The photographer positioned lights and tested angles while Marcus reviewed the questions Laura planned to ask. Some he approved, others he crossed out or modified. No questions about her finances, he said firmly. That's discovery material. But the public wants to know. They can want all they like. We're not giving Roman's team ammunition. Laura rolled her eyes, but agreed. At 2 p.m. sharp, they started recording. Laura sat across from Vanessa, professional, but warm. Mrs. DeLuca, thank you for speaking with me today. Can you tell me why you decided to file for divorce from your husband? Vanessa took a breath. Because I discovered he's been having an affair, and that his mistress is pregnant with his child. How did you find out? I saw them together. At the annual charity gala, he had his hand on her stomach the same way he touches mine. It was... She paused, gathering herself. It was intimate, familiar. I knew immediately. What did you do? I left. I went to my mother's house, and I started asking questions I should have asked 3 years ago. Like what? Like who is he really? What does he really do? Why does everyone seem afraid of him? Vanessa met Laura's eyes. I was willfully blind for a long time. I didn't want to see the truth, but once I did, I couldn't unsee it. Roman's lawyers have suggested you're experiencing emotional distress related to your pregnancy. What do you say to that? I say that's exactly what someone would claim when they want to discredit a woman telling the truth. Vanessa's voice steadied. I'm not having a breakdown. I'm having clarity. There's a difference. You're 8 months pregnant. Why now? Why not wait until after the baby's born? Because I found documents suggesting Roman planned to have me institutionalized after giving birth. He was going to claim postpartum psychosis, have me committed, and take custody of our daughter. I couldn't wait. Waiting might have meant losing everything. Laura's eyebrows shot up. You're saying your husband planned to have you institutionalized against your will? Yes, and I have proof. Marcus cleared his throat. A warning. Vanessa caught herself. Proof that will be presented in court, she amended, at the appropriate time. Laura made a note. Let's talk about Selena Voss. Have you met her? Yes? And? And she's another victim. Roman told her I knew about their relationship, that I was okay with it. He lied to both of us. Vanessa's hands tightened in her lap. She showed me the bruises around her neck, from when he tried to force her to give up their baby. The photographer's flash stuttered. Even Laura looked shocked. He assaulted her. According to her, yes. She has photographs. Medical documentation. Will she testify? I can't speak for her, but I hope so. Laura flipped through her notes. The DeLuca Foundation has raised millions for charity over the years. Are you concerned about how this scandal might affect those programs? Vanessa had been dreading this question. I'm concerned that money meant to help people has been diverted for other purposes. If the foundation has been operating improperly, that needs to be investigated. But my focus right now is protecting my daughter. Everything else is secondary. Do you still love your husband? The question caught Vanessa off guard. She'd expected legal questions, factual questions, not this. I loved who I thought he was, she said slowly, but that person never existed. He was a character Roman played to get what he wanted. So no, I don't love him. I don't even know him. What do you want people to know about you? Vanessa looked directly at the camera. That I'm not a gold digger. I'm not hysterical. I'm not having a breakdown. I'm a woman who discovered her husband has been lying to her for 3 years, and I'm choosing to fight back instead of accepting it. If that makes me difficult or emotional or crazy, so be it. But I'm not going to be quiet anymore. Laura smiled slightly. Anything else you'd like to add? Yes. Vanessa straightened despite her exhaustion. To other women in situations like mine, married to powerful men who think they're untouchable, you're stronger than they want you to believe, and you don't have to stay silent. Laura stopped recording. That was perfect, seriously. You came across exactly how you needed to, strong, credible, sympathetic. When will it run? Marcus asked. Tomorrow morning, front page again. Laura packed up her equipment. Fair warning, this is going to make Roman very angry. Good, Vanessa said. Let him be angry. After Laura left, Vanessa collapsed on Marcus's office couch, her body screaming for rest. You did great, Marcus said, reviewing the footage on his laptop. Really great. This changes the narrative completely. How long before Roman responds? My guess? By tonight. Marcus was right. At 7 p.m., Vanessa's burner phone rang, a number she didn't recognize. She answered cautiously. Hello? Mrs. DeLuca? A woman's voice, older, refined. This is Margaret DeLuca. I believe we need to talk. Vanessa sat up straight. Roman's mother. About what? About the mess you've created and how we're going to fix it. There's nothing to fix. I filed for divorce. It's done. Nothing is done until I say it's done. Margaret's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. I'm at the Belmont Hotel, Suite 1402. I expect you here within the hour. I'm not coming. Yes, you are. Because if you don't, I'll make sure this gets infinitely worse for you. The line went dead. Vanessa stared at the phone. Marcus looked up from his laptop. Who was that? Roman's mother. She wants to meet. Absolutely not. It's a trap. Probably, but I'm going anyway. Vanessa, she's the matriarch of the family. If anyone can pressure Roman to back down, It's her. I have to try. Marcus swore under his breath. Fine, but I'm coming with you, and we're recording everything. The Belmont Hotel looked different than it had at the Gala. Smaller, somehow, less impressive. Or maybe Vanessa had just changed. They took the elevator to the 14th floor. Marcus tucked a small recording device into Vanessa's purse. If anything feels wrong, we leave, he said. I don't care if she's mid-sentence, we walk out. Understood. Suite 1402 was at the end of a long hallway. Vanessa knocked. Margaret opened the door herself, no staff in sight. She wore a cream-colored suit and pearls, her silver hair perfect, her expression unreadable. Vanessa? Mr. Chen. She stepped aside. Please come in. The suite was elegant and impersonal. Expensive furniture, fresh flowers, a wet bar in the corner. Margaret gestured to a sitting area. Would you like tea? She asked. No, Vanessa said. I'd like to know why I'm here. Margaret poured herself tea with practiced grace. You're here because you've made a serious miscalculation, and I'm offering you a chance to correct it before it destroys you. I haven't miscalculated anything. Haven't you? Margaret sat, crossing her ankles. You think you're David fighting Goliath, the brave little wife taking on the big bad mafia family. It's very romantic, very foolish. I'm not trying to be romantic. I'm trying to survive. By going to the press? By dragging our family name through the mud? Margaret's composure cracked slightly. Do you have any idea what you've done? The damage you've caused? The damage I've caused? Vanessa's voice rose. Your son has been cheating on me. He got another woman pregnant. He planned to have me institutionalized, but somehow I'm the problem? You're the problem because you made it public. Margaret set down her teacup with a sharp click. Whatever issues you had with Roman should have stayed private, should have been handled within the family. The way the family handles things is the problem, Vanessa shot back, covering up crimes, intimidating witnesses, making people disappear. Careful, Margaret said softly. Those are serious accusations. They're the truth. Truth is subjective, my dear, especially in court. Margaret opened a leather folder on the coffee table. Which brings me to why you're really here. I'm prepared to offer you a settlement. She slid a document across the table. Vanessa picked it up. It was a contract, dense with legal language. But the numbers jumped out. $5 million. Paid in full. Tax-free. In exchange for what? Vanessa asked. Your silence. You drop the divorce proceedings. Retract your statements to the press. Sign a non-disclosure agreement, and in return you get enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your life. And my daughter? Will be raised by her father, with supervised visitation for you, of course. Vanessa's blood ran cold. You want me to give up my child? I want you to be reasonable. Roman can provide for that child in ways you cannot. Stability, security, education. She'll have every advantage. She'll have a criminal for a father. Margaret's eyes hardened. She'll have a father who loves her and a family who will protect her, which is more than you can offer while you're busy playing journalist and lawyer. Marcus stood abruptly. We're done here. Sit down, Mr. Chen. Margaret didn't raise her voice, but the command was clear. I'm not finished. Yes, you are. Vanessa stood too, her legs shaky but her voice firm. You think you can buy me off, make me disappear like I'm some kind of problem to be solved? I'm not signing anything. Then you're a fool. Maybe, but I'm a fool with evidence. Evidence that could send your son to prison. Evidence that could destroy everything your family has built. Margaret went very still. What evidence? Vanessa had learned her lesson from the phone call with Roman. She kept her mouth shut. That's what I thought, Margaret said after a long moment. You're bluffing. You have nothing. Then you have nothing to worry about. Margaret stood, her composure restored. Let me be very clear about something, Vanessa. The DeLuca family has survived for 3 generations because we know how to handle threats. We've dealt with prosecutors, journalists, rival organizations, and we've outlasted them all. Do you really think you're different? I think I'm desperate enough not to care about the consequences. Everyone cares about consequences when they actually face them. Margaret moved to the door, opened it. You have 24 hours to reconsider. After that, the offer expires, and whatever happens next will be on your head. Vanessa walked past her without another word. Marcus followed. In the elevator, neither spoke until they reached the lobby. She's right about one thing, Marcus said quietly. They've done this before. Crushed people who challenged them. We need to be ready for anything. I know. Do you? Because Margaret just told you exactly what's coming. They're going to try to take your daughter. They're going to bury you in legal fees and motions. And if that doesn't work, they'll find another way to make you stop. Vanessa pressed her hand to her belly. The baby was kicking again, restless and strong. Then we need to move faster, she said. Hit them before they can hit us. How? The USB drive. The evidence my father collected. It's time to use it. Marcus checked his watch. The bank vault closes in an hour. We can get there if we hurry. They made it with 10 minutes to spare. The bank manager, a nervous man with thinning hair, led them to the vault room and left them alone with Vanessa's safe deposit box. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside was the USB drive, exactly where she'd left it. Marcus plugged it into his laptop right there in the vault room. If anyone asks, he said, we were never here. He copied the files onto 3 separate drives, backups of backups. Then he started going through them systematically, organizing them by date and type. This is incredible, he muttered. Wire transfers, shell company registrations, signed agreements. Your father documented everything. Is it enough? Vanessa asked. Enough for what? To take them down. The whole family. Marcus sat back, studying the screen. It's enough to start an investigation. Maybe enough for indictments, but cases like this take time. Months, sometimes years. I don't have years. I know. Marcus closed the laptop, which is why we're going to take a shortcut. We're going to give this to the FBI, today, and let them do what we can't, freeze assets, seize records, arrest people. Once the feds are involved, the DeLuca family won't be able to touch you. You'll be a witness, not a target. And if the FBI won't help, they will, trust me. This kind of evidence, they'll jump on it. Marcus made a call to Detective Sarah Chen. She answered on the first ring. I need a favor, Marcus said. A big one. Connect me with someone at the FBI who handles financial crimes and organized crime. Someone senior. Someone who won't leak this to the wrong people. How fast do you need this? Sarah asked. Yesterday. Give me 30 minutes. It took 20. Sarah called back with a name, Special Agent Thomas Rivera, 15 years with the Bureau, currently heading a task force investigating organized crime families in the region. He'll meet you tonight, Sarah said. But Marcus? Be careful. If the DeLuca family finds out you're talking to the feds, things will get dangerous fast. They're already dangerous. Then watch your back. They met Agent Rivera at a coffee shop near the Federal Building at 9 p.m. He was younger than Vanessa expected, maybe 45, with close-cropped gray hair and the kind of eyes that missed nothing. He didn't shake hands or introduce himself beyond, I'm Rivera. Show me what you have. Marcus handed him one of the USB drives. Rivera pulled out his own laptop, plugged it in, and started scrolling through files. His expression never changed, but Vanessa saw his jaw tighten. After 10 minutes, he closed the laptop. Where did you get this? He asked. From a family member, Vanessa said carefully. Someone who used to work for the DeLuca organization. How long ago? 20 years. And this person is? Dead. Rivera studied her. You're the wife, the one who filed for divorce. Yes. And you're willing to testify? To everything on this drive? I don't know everything on that drive. I only know what I've witnessed personally. That'll be enough. Rivera stood. I'm going to need you to come to the Federal Building tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp. Bring your lawyer. We're going to take your statement, and then we're going to start building a case. How long will that take? Vanessa asked. Depends on how much they fight. Could be weeks, could be months. I'm due in 3 weeks. Rivera's expression softened slightly. Then we'll move fast. But I need you to understand something. The moment this investigation becomes public, you're going to be in danger. Real danger. I can offer protection, but it's limited. Witness protection takes time to arrange, and we can't just snap our fingers and make you disappear. I'm not asking to disappear, Vanessa said. I'm asking for justice. Justice and survival aren't always the same thing. I'll take my chances. Rivera handed the USB drive back to Marcus. Make copies, multiple copies. Hide them in different locations. And for the love of all that's holy, don't tell anyone else about this. Not friends, not family, no one. The fewer people who know, the safer you are. What about Roman? Vanessa asked. When will you arrest him? When we have enough to make charges stick, which means we need more than just financial records. We need witnesses, testimony, a paper trail that connects Roman directly to criminal activity. He looked at her. Do you have anything like that? Vanessa thought about Selena, about the bruises, about the attempted coercion. Maybe, she said. I'll ask. Rivera nodded. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. On the drive back to the farmhouse, Vanessa called Selena on the burner. Are you okay? Selena asked immediately. I'm fine. Listen, I need to ask you something, and you can say no. I'll understand either way. What is it? Would you be willing to testify against Roman to the FBI? Silence. Then, what would I have to say? The truth about the affair, about him hurting you, about him trying to force you to give up your baby. More silence. Vanessa could hear Selena breathing, could almost feel her fear through the phone. If I do this, Selena said finally, he'll destroy me. You know that, right? He's going to destroy both of us if we don't fight back. I'm scared. So am I. But we can be scared together. Selena exhaled slowly. Okay, I'll do it. When? Tomorrow, 9 a.m., Federal Building. Marcus will pick you up. After she hung up, Vanessa leaned her head back against the seat, exhausted beyond words. You should rest, Marcus said. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Every day is a long day now. They arrived at the farmhouse after 10 p.m. The house was dark, quiet. Marcus did a perimeter check while Vanessa went inside and collapsed on the couch. Her phone buzzed. Not the burner. Her old phone. A text from Roman. I know what you're doing, it won't work, but I'll give you credit. You're more stubborn than I thought. Vanessa stared at the message, her blood running cold. He knew. Somehow he knew they were going to the FBI. She showed the text to Marcus. His face went pale. We have a leak. How? I don't know, but Roman's not guessing. Someone told him. Marcus started pacing. We need to move you. Tonight. Somewhere safe until tomorrow morning. No more running. Vanessa, I said no. She stood, ignoring the pain in her back and legs. I'm done being afraid. I'm done hiding. If Roman wants to come after me, let him come, but I'm not leaving this house. Marcus looked like he wanted to argue, but something in Vanessa's expression stopped him. Fine, he said, but I'm calling in backup. Private security. Armed. If Roman's people show up tonight, they're going to have a fight on their hands. Within an hour, 2 men arrived. Ex-military, Marcus said, people he trusted. They positioned themselves outside, one at the front of the house, one at the back. Vanessa tried to sleep but couldn't. Every sound made her jump. Every car that passed on the distant road sent her heart racing. At 2 a.m., her water broke. She was sitting on the couch trying to watch television and failing when she felt the gush of warm liquid and the immediate cramping pain that followed. Marcus, she called out, trying to keep the panic out of her voice. Marcus! He appeared in the doorway, took one look at her face and understood immediately. How far apart are the contractions? I don't know. This just started. Okay, we need to get you to the hospital. No. Vanessa gripped his arm. Not yet. It's too early. I'm not due for 3 more weeks. Your water broke. That means the baby's coming whether you're ready or not. Another contraction hit. This one harder. Vanessa doubled over, breathing through it. When it passed, she looked up at Marcus. If I go to the hospital, Roman will know. He'll find me there. Then we'll make sure security comes with us. He owns half the hospital staff. You know he does. Marcus swore. Then what do you want to do? Vanessa pressed her hand to her belly, feeling the shape of her daughter, so close to being born into this mess of fear and violence and broken promises. Call an ambulance, she said, but tell them to go to St. Catherine's. Not Roman's hospital, somewhere he doesn't control. Marcus was already dialing. The contractions were coming faster now, 5 minutes apart. 4, 3. By the time the ambulance arrived, Vanessa could barely stand. The paramedics loaded her onto a stretcher. Marcus climbed in beside her. The security team followed in a separate car. As they pulled away from the farmhouse, Vanessa looked back one last time. In 3 weeks, she'd gone from living in a penthouse to sleeping in her childhood home, from being a mafia wife to being a fugitive in her own life. And now she was about to give birth to a daughter who would be born into a war. But as another contraction ripped through her, Vanessa made a silent promise. This baby girl would never know the fear her mother had lived with, would never learn to be small and quiet and invisible. She would be born into chaos, yes, but she would also be born free. The labor lasted 14 hours. 14 hours of pain that felt like her body was tearing itself apart from the inside. 14 hours of breathing through contractions while Marcus held her hand and told her she was doing great, which was a lie, but she appreciated it anyway. 14 hours of waiting for Roman to burst through the door with lawyers or thugs or both. He never came. At 4:37 p.m., in a delivery room at St. Catherine's Hospital, with 2 security guards stationed outside the door, Vanessa gave birth to a 6-pound, 3-ounce baby girl with her mother's dark hair and lungs that could wake the dead. The nurse placed the baby on Vanessa's chest, and for the first time in months, maybe years, Vanessa felt something other than fear. She felt love so overwhelming it hurt worse than the contractions. "She's perfect," the nurse said, which was also a lie because the baby was wrinkled and red-faced and screaming, but Vanessa didn't care. "Hi," Vanessa whispered, touching her daughter's impossibly tiny fingers. "Hi, baby, I'm your mom, and I promise, you're going to be safe, no matter what it takes." The baby stopped crying, opened her eyes, dark blue and unfocused, and stared up at Vanessa like she understood. Marcus appeared in the doorway looking exhausted and relieved. "How are you?" "Tired, sore, happy." Vanessa looked down at her daughter. "She's here. She's really here. Have you thought about a name?" Vanessa had spent 9 months considering options. Traditional Italian names to honor Roman's family. Modern names. Names with meaning. But now, holding this tiny human who'd been born into a war zone, only one name felt right. "Sophia Grace," she said. "Niki, Sophia after my grandmother. Grace after my mother." "It's beautiful." "No De Luca," Vanessa added firmly. "Just Moretti. She's mine, not his." Marcus opened his mouth like he might argue about the legal complications, then closed it again. "Okay, Sophia Grace Moretti it is." The first 24 hours passed in a blur of feeding attempts, diaper changes, and nurses coming in every 2 hours to check vitals. Vanessa barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Roman's face, heard his voice on the phone, felt the weight of his threats. But he didn't come, and that was somehow worse than if he had. On the second day, Detective Sarah Chen appeared in her room, looking uncomfortable in the maternity ward. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said, "but we need to talk." Vanessa was nursing Sophia, or trying to. The baby kept falling asleep mid-feed. "Is it about Roman?" "It's about everything." Sarah pulled up a chair. "Agent Rivera wants to move forward with the investigation, but he needs your testimony, and Selena's. Can you come to the federal building tomorrow?" "I just had a baby." "I know, and I'm sorry, but time is critical. Roman knows you went to the FBI. He's already moving money, destroying evidence, calling in favors. If we don't act fast, he's going to slip away." Vanessa looked down at Sophia, sleeping peacefully now against her chest. "What happens if I testify?" "Best case, Roman and several of his associates get arrested. The family's assets get frozen. You get your divorce, custody of Sophia, and enough evidence to keep Roman away from you forever." "And worst case?" Sarah's expression darkened. "Worst case? Roman's lawyers tear apart your credibility. The jury doesn't convict. He walks free, angrier than before, with nothing left to lose. So either way, I'm taking a risk." "Yes, but at least this way, you're fighting back." Vanessa thought about the past 3 years, about making herself smaller, quieter, less threatening, about swallowing her questions and her fear and her rage. "Okay," she said, "I'll testify, but I need something from you first." "What?" "Protection for Sophia, for my mother, for Selena. I need to know they're safe before I walk into that building and tell the world what Roman did." Sarah nodded. "Already arranged. Agent Rivera's assigned a protection detail. They'll stay with your family until this is over." "How long will that be?" "Honestly, I don't know. Could be months, could be longer. Then I guess we're in this for the long haul. The federal building was a fortress of concrete and glass that looked designed to intimidate. Vanessa arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, Sophia strapped to her chest in a carrier, Marcus at her side carrying a diaper bag and his briefcase. Agent Rivera met them at security. Is the baby really necessary? She's 3 days old, Vanessa said. Where exactly am I supposed to leave her? Rivera sighed but didn't argue. He led them through metal detectors and up to a conference room on the 8th floor. Inside, Selena was already waiting, looking pale and nervous. She stood when Vanessa entered, her eyes immediately drawn to the baby. She's beautiful, Selena said softly. Thank you. Vanessa sat down carefully, every part of her body still sore from labor. How are you? Terrified. You? Same. Rivera cleared his throat. Ladies, I appreciate you coming. I know this isn't easy, but what you're about to do is incredibly important. Are you both ready? They nodded. For the next 6 hours, Rivera and 2 other agents took their statements. They asked about the affair, the timeline, the financial irregularities Vanessa had noticed, the assault on Selena, the documents planning Vanessa's institutionalization. They recorded everything, made them sign statements, took copies of every piece of evidence. By 3 p.m., Vanessa's voice was hoarse and Sophia was screaming to be fed. We're done for today, Rivera said. But I need you both to understand, this is just the beginning. Roman's lawyers are going to come after you hard. They'll question your motives, your memory, your mental state. Are you prepared for that? No, Vanessa said honestly, but I'm doing it anyway. Rivera almost smiled. That's the right answer. As they were leaving, he pulled Vanessa aside. One more thing. Margaret DeLuca requested a meeting with you. Vanessa's stomach dropped. When? Today? If possible. She claims she has information that could help the investigation. Or it's a trap. That's what I thought too. But she came to us, not the other way around, and she brought her own lawyer, not the family's lawyer, her personal attorney. Rivera's expression was carefully neutral. She wants immunity in exchange for testimony against her son. Vanessa stared at him. Roman's own mother is turning on him? Apparently. Though whether she's being genuine or playing some kind of long game, I can't say. That's why I'm asking if you want to be there when we talk to her. Vanessa looked down at Sophia, sleeping again in the carrier. Every maternal instinct told her to go home, lock the doors, protect her baby. But another part of her, the part that had walked out of that gala, that had filed for divorce, that had gone to the FBI, that part wanted to see Margaret's face when she admitted what her family had done. I'll be there, Vanessa said. Margaret DeLuca looked smaller than Vanessa remembered. She sat in the conference room wearing a simple black dress. No pearls, no designer suit, no armor of wealth and privilege. Her silver hair was pulled back in a plain bun. Her hands, folded on the table, shook slightly. Her attorney sat beside her, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and an expression that suggested she'd seen worse than this and survived. Mrs. DeLuca, Rivera said, sitting across from them. Thank you for coming. This is Vanessa Moretti and her attorney, Marcus Chen. They've agreed to sit in on this conversation. Margaret's eyes met Vanessa's. For a moment, neither woman spoke. I didn't think you'd come, Margaret said finally. I didn't think you'd be here. Margaret's laugh was bitter. Neither did I, but here we are. Rivera pulled out a recorder. Before we begin, I need to make sure you understand the terms. You're requesting immunity from prosecution in exchange for testimony against members of the DeLuca organization, specifically against your son, Roman, and your husband, Vincent. Is that correct? Yes, Margaret said. And you understand that this immunity is conditional on the truthfulness and completeness of your testimony? I understand. Rivera hit record. Then let's start at the beginning. How long have you known about the illegal activities conducted by the DeLuca family? Margaret took a breath. Since the day I married Vincent, 42 years ago. For the next 3 hours, Margaret laid out everything. She told them about the money laundering, the extortion, the violence. She named names, gave dates, described meetings where criminal activity was planned. She talked about how the foundation had been used as a front for years, how donations were funneled through shell companies. how legitimate business mixed with illegal operations until no one could tell the difference anymore. And she told them about Roman. I knew what he was becoming, Margaret said, her voice cracking for the first time. I watched him turn into his father, watched him choose power over people, control over love. I told myself it wasn't my responsibility, that I couldn't stop it even if I tried. What changed? Rivera asked. Margaret looked at Vanessa. She did. When Roman told me he was going to have her institutionalized, when he laid out his plan to take her baby and make her disappear, I realized he'd gone too far, that he'd become something even I couldn't justify. You could have warned her, Vanessa said quietly. When we met at the hotel, you could have told me what he was planning. I know, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. But I'm telling you now, everything, every dirty secret, every crime, every lie, it's all on record. When the interview finally ended, Margaret stood to leave. She paused at the door, looking back at Vanessa. Your daughter, she said. Sophia, that's a beautiful name. How do you know her name? I have my sources. Margaret's smile was sad. I know Roman will try to claim her, try to argue for custody, but he won't win. I'll make sure of it. Why? Vanessa asked. Why help me now? Because you did what I couldn't. You left. You fought back. And because, Margaret's voice broke, because I have grandchildren. 2 of them, apparently, and at least one of them deserves better than what this family offers. She walked out before Vanessa could respond. Marcus let out a long breath. Well, that just changed everything. Rivera was already making calls, organizing warrants, coordinating with other agencies. We move tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., simultaneous raids on Roman's residence, the foundation offices, and Vincent DeLuca's home. If Margaret's testimony holds up, we'll have enough for arrests by noon. What about me? Vanessa asked. What do I do? You stay somewhere safe with your daughter. Let us do our job. And when this is over, you get to start your life again. That night, Vanessa stayed at a safe house the FBI had arranged, a bland apartment in a bland building that looked like every other apartment complex in the city. Grace and Selena were there too, along with 2 federal agents who tried to be unobtrusive but weren't. Vanessa fed Sophia, changed her, rocked her to sleep. Normal things. Mother things. Things that felt surreal after everything that had happened. Grace made tea and sat beside her daughter on the couch. You doing okay? I don't know. Ask me when this is over. It might never really be over. You know that, right? Vanessa did know. Even if Roman went to prison, even if the whole organization collapsed, she'd spend years looking over her shoulder. Years worrying about revenge, about someone coming to finish what Roman started. But she'd also be free. And Sophia would be safe. And that was worth the fear. At 6 a.m., her burner phone rang. It was Rivera. It's done. Roman's in custody. So is his father and 3 other high-ranking members. Margaret's testimony was solid. We've frozen their accounts and seized documents from the foundation offices. Vanessa's hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. What happens now? Now we build the case. Arraignment is scheduled for later today. Bail hearing tomorrow. My guess is the judge denies bail. These are flight risks with substantial resources. So he stays in jail? Until trial, yes. Vanessa closed her eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning. But it felt like an ending, like the breath she'd been holding for 3 years finally releasing. The trial took 4 months. 4 months of testimony, cross-examination, evidence presented and challenged. 4 months of watching Roman sit in the defendant's chair wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of his tailored suits. 4 months of facing him across a courtroom while she told the truth about everything he'd done. Selena testified about the affair, the coercion, the assault. Medical records backed up her claims. Margaret testified about the money laundering, the financial crimes, the decades of illegal activity. Documents backed up her claims. Vanessa testified about the plan to institutionalize her, about the fake Dr. Roman had lined up, about the prenuptial agreement she'd never seen that would have left her with nothing. More documents backed up her claims. Roman's lawyers fought hard. They called Vanessa a scorned woman seeking revenge. They called Selena a gold digger. They called Margaret a bitter ex-wife turning on her family. But the evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous: guilty on all counts. Roman DeLuca was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. His father got 30. Three other associates got terms ranging from 10 to 15 years. The DeLuca Foundation was dissolved, its remaining legitimate assets distributed to actual charities. The family's empire, built over 3 generations, collapsed in a matter of months. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks after the sentencing. Vanessa got full custody of Sofia. Roman was allowed supervised visitation once a month to be arranged at Vanessa's discretion. She never arranged a single visit. 6 months after the trial ended, Vanessa stood in the office space she'd just leased, a small suite in a building downtown, nothing fancy but clean and bright with good light from the windows. Marcus helped her hang a sign, the Moretti Foundation, supporting women and families. "You sure about this?" he asked. "Starting a charity? After everything?" "I'm sure." The DeLuca Foundation was a lie. This will be real. Actually helping people. Vanessa adjusted the sign until it hung straight. Women leaving abusive relationships, mothers fighting for custody, families needing legal help they can't afford, people like me who need someone in their corner. That's a lot of people. Then I'd better get to work. The foundation started small. Vanessa used the settlement money from the divorce, $15 million, negotiated by Marcus in exchange for Vanessa's agreement not to pursue additional civil suits. She hired a small staff, partnered with local shelters and legal aid organizations, started quietly funding cases that needed support. Word spread. Within a year, the Moretti Foundation was funding legal representation for 30 women fighting domestic abuse cases. Within 2 years, they'd opened a shelter and a job training program. Within 3 years, they'd helped over 200 families escape dangerous situations and rebuild their lives. Vanessa threw herself into the work. It was easier than dealing with the nightmares, with the therapy appointments, with the fear that still sometimes woke her at 3 a.m., convinced Roman had escaped and was coming for her. Sofia grew up surrounded by strong women who'd survived hell and come out fighting. She learned to walk in the foundation offices, took her first steps between desks where paralegals drafted custody agreements and social workers arranged safe housing. Selena had her baby, a boy she named Daniel, and joined the foundation staff as a victim's advocate. She and Vanessa became friends, bonded by shared trauma and shared purpose. Grace moved into an apartment near Vanessa's new house, a modest place in a quiet neighborhood. Nothing like the penthouse, but infinitely more like home. She helped with Sofia, volunteered at the foundation, and finally, after 40 years of silence, started telling her own story about surviving in the shadow of dangerous men. On Sofia's 4th birthday, Vanessa received a letter from Margaret DeLuca. She'd moved to California, the letter said, far from the remnants of the family she'd helped destroy. She was living quietly, volunteering at a women's shelter, trying to atone for decades of complicity. She'd enclosed a check for $100,000 made out to the Moretti Foundation. "For my granddaughter," the letter said. "So she grows up knowing that even people who make terrible mistakes can sometimes try to do better. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope someday you might allow me to meet her, to tell her I'm sorry for the family she was almost born into, and to thank you for making sure she never had to live in that world." Vanessa read the letter 3 times, then put it in a drawer. She didn't know if she'd ever let Margaret meet Sofia, but she kept the check, deposited it in the foundation account, and used it to fund a new program helping children of incarcerated parents. Because that's what Sofia was, technically. A child with a father in prison. But she was also a child with a mother who'd fought like hell to keep her safe. And that mattered more. Years passed. The nightmares became less frequent. The fear loosened its grip slowly, day by day. Vanessa learned to laugh again, to trust again, to believe that not every powerful man was a threat. She dated occasionally, nothing serious. She wasn't looking for someone to save her. She'd already saved herself. Sofia started kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade. She was bright and fearless, with her mother's determination and her grandmother's sharp tongue. She knew who her father was. Vanessa had never lied about it. But Roman was just a name, a distant figure in a story about before. The Moretti Foundation continued to grow. They expanded to 3 cities, helped over 1,000 families, changed laws that had protected abusers and left victims with nowhere to turn. Vanessa became someone people recognized, someone interviewed on television and quoted in articles about domestic violence and legal reform. She hated the attention but understood it was necessary. Every woman who saw her story and found the courage to leave her own bad situation made the exposure worth it. On what would have been her 10th wedding anniversary, Vanessa visited the courthouse where she'd filed for divorce. She stood on the steps, remembering how terrified she'd been that day, how Marcus had asked if she was ready, and she'd said no, but done it anyway. She pulled out her phone and took a picture of the building, posted it to the foundation's social media with a caption, 10 years ago today, I made the hardest decision of my life. I left a man who I thought I loved, a life I thought I wanted, a future I thought was secure. I was 8 months pregnant, terrified, and certain I was making a mistake. Today, I know I wasn't wrong. I was just finally brave enough to be right. To every woman reading this who's scared to leave, scared to speak up, scared to choose herself, you're stronger than you know, and you're not alone. The post went viral. Thousands of comments, shares, messages from women telling their own stories. And buried in the notifications was one message that made Vanessa's breath catch. It was from the prison where Roman was serving his sentence. Inmate Roman DeLuca has requested visitation with you and your daughter. Please respond within 30 days if you wish to approve this request. Vanessa stared at the message for a long time. Then she deleted it. She'd spent 3 years of her life being what Roman wanted. She wasn't giving him one more second. That night, she tucked Sophia into bed. Her fierce, brilliant, free daughter who would never learn to make herself small for anyone. "Mama?" Sophia asked, half asleep. "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect, baby. Why?" "You look sad." Vanessa smiled, brushing hair from Sophia's forehead. "Not sad, just remembering." "Remembering what?" "How strong I had to be to give you this life, and how worth it you are." Sophia yawned. "I love you, Mama. I love you too. More than anything." She turned off the light and stood in the doorway, watching her daughter sleep. Somewhere across the city, in a federal prison, Roman DeLuca was probably awake, plotting appeals or nursing grudges or whatever men like him did when their empires crumbled. But that was his problem now, not hers. Vanessa had built something better from the ruins he'd left behind, a foundation that helped people instead of using them. A family defined by choice and love instead of control and fear. A life that was messy and imperfect and completely her own. She'd entered that ballroom 10 years ago as a woman who'd learned to disappear. She'd walked out as a woman who refused to be erased. And in the years between, she'd learned the most important lesson of all, that the opposite of being powerless isn't being powerful. It's being free. Freedom to choose. Freedom to fight. Freedom to fail and try again. Freedom to protect the people you love and walk away from the people who hurt you. That's what Vanessa had given Sophia. Not a perfect life, not a life without struggle, but a life where she got to be loud and difficult and unapologetically herself. And when Sophia was old enough, when she asked about her father and the family she'd never known, Vanessa would tell her the truth. That love without respect is just control with a prettier name. That standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from everything you thought you wanted and build something new from nothing. She'd tell Sophia that her mother wasn't a hero. She was just a woman who got tired of being afraid and decided to fight back, even when she had no idea if she'd win. But she had won. Not perfectly, not without scars, but she'd won. And that would have to be enough. Because in the end, that's all any of them got. The chance to choose themselves, to fight for what mattered, to turn pain into purpose and survival into strength. Vanessa had done that. And in doing so, she'd given her daughter something more valuable than money or status or the DeLuca name. She'd given her freedom, and that was worth every terrifying step it took to get there.